All right, welcome back, fellow TFFL owners, to another TFFL webcast. Wednesday, July 26th, NFL training camps are underway. Lots of TFFL trade talk underway. So here we are kicking things off. We'll be doing more mock drafts throughout August. We're just now talking about the house for Myrtle Beach. We got new rules to talk about tonight. We've had our first big trade, I think, since we last did a webcast. So lots to talk about tonight. Quick introduction, starting with our commissioner, skipper of the Sponge Fishermen. Chief, welcome.
Hey, guys.
We've got...
It's good to see you again.
It is good to be back. Preseason for the webcasters. Hank, czar and CEO of the K-Wheels.
Good evening, everyone. Happy to be here. Happy July. Football's coming.
And Berto from Jack's Giant Killers, missing a fish show tonight to be with. There we go.
But I think I had a bumper sticker when I was 22.
All right, so let's quickly plot out some key dates for people to be looking forward to, and some key deadlines for people to hit. I wanted to remind people the TFFL schedule is available on the site. In case you're wondering which team benefits from the likely Zeke Elliott suspension. Week 1, it is the K-Wheels. Let's see how many games that suspension ends up being. Chief, have you set a keeper date?
I have. Keeper is going to be due at noon on September 2nd. I think that's the way it usually is. It's the Saturday before the draft. You know, the earlier the better. People like to know who's going to be in the draft pool, give them a full week to work up plans. So, you know, it's a soft deadline of noon. I'm not going to, there's no penalty if you get it at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, or anything else. But that's September 2nd. That's actually on the site, too. I was fiddling around with the homepage of the site. One nice new feature is now they have the league champions from 2001 up to 2016 on the homepage of the site.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Pretty sweet. So yeah, so the draft then September 9th, correct? I'm not looking at the calendar right now. But it stands to read.
When must our dues be paid?
Dues are paid. The due that's the 2nd. The due by September 2nd. I hope we don't have to stick around with times and people trying to prove, abstract points. It was an issue last year, so I'm not anticipating it being an issue this year. But they're doing the 2nd.
Hey, if I could just throw one other thing out there, Chief, Stick. The Thursday night we were just talking about before we got on the webcast. For those watching the webcast, get your email back. I think there's only a couple people who email back. So just to get a feel for who's in Thursday, so we can sort that out too.
Right now, I think we have 6 people who are fairly definite getting down Thursday night at some point, hopefully before the game. We'll have some shenanigans on Thursday night. We'll play golf Friday morning for those who are interested.
Low-key shenanigans. Low-key playing golf.
Shenanigans could be poker, watching football. We'll get some food. We'll try to stock the house as best as we can.
No, I'm largely talking to Berkman and making sure that it's all understood that Thursday night is not a go deep kind of night.
You're in charge of Berkman.
That's agreed.
Thank you, Berto. We got to stand in solidarity on these things.
Yes.
All right, Chief, any other dates we need to keep in mind? I think that's it.
Yeah, I think those are things we're waiting on.
Keepers, dues, and the draft coming up. All right, let me throw out our TFFL trivia question for the night. Hank, I believe you wanted to remind us what are the scores from the first webcast of the year?
Yeah, well, I just want to make sure that we're keeping tabs on the 2017 trivia because maybe for the first time in the history of the webcast, the standings read as follows after our webcast on 5-4. Berto is at 0, Chief is at 0, and Hank is at 1. That's a 100% completion rate.
Revel in it now, my friend. Revel in it now.
Might say 100% ahead of everyone else.
The guests struggling with 0.
Yeah, no guest last time, no guest this time. Too bad.
All right, how am I going to do this tonight? Let's. All right, we're going to put 2 points on the line tonight. But there could be.
How many points? I missed that.
What's that?
How many points?
2.
2. Okay.
2 points, but there's going to be a half-point possibility here. I was looking back through the first round of as many drafts as I can find, and I can go the last 7 years from 2010 to 2016. I don't have 2009, 2008, 2007, although I do have some later ones. So in these last 7 TFFL drafts, 2010 through 2016, which TFFL franchises have the most first-round picks and the least first-round picks? It's a little bit of a wonky question. There are 2 teams that are tied for the fewest first-round picks, and I'll give you a half point for either one of those.
Most and the least.
Most and the least. This requires a little bit of analysis of teams that like to be in the first round, that move up, that hoard picks, that don't make trades. Lots of ways to look at this.
Okay. I'm feeling pretty good about this one.
Are you?
Yep.
All right. So we've had, I think, one big trade since we last talked. And I wanted to talk about the Jameis Winston trade. The Hormel Hams dealing Winston and Bilal Powell to the Mongols, getting a second-round pick back. First question, maybe a little provocative. I think we got at this a little bit last time. Did the Hams trade away the right quarterback? They also have Drew Brees. Obviously, Brees is the better quarterback perhaps now, but I don't know. How old is Brees? 39 now? Winston obviously coming up. Was this a time the Hams could have made that transition?
I think they did the right thing. There's no guarantee what Jameis Winston's going to be. I like him. I think he'll succeed. But he may succeed in an Andy Dalton kind of succeeding and not in a Drew Brees kind of fantasy excellence, kind of succeeding. So, yeah, I think he traded the right guy.
I agree. So I agree. Winston, I'm not sold on. I think he's a step down from Cam Newton, and he can't move that well. Looks like he's got a great arm. I'm not sure he's got a great head. And I'm not sure the Bucks are that great. Obviously, I hope Doug Martin coming back will help him greatly. But we'll see. Winston's got a lot to prove.
So I think you made the right deal or the right trade. Yeah. Brees had 37 TDs last year. The 3rd or 4th ranked fantasy quarterback. Granted, he lost Brandon Cooks, but doesn't play against particularly tough secondaries. Are in the position now where you have guys like David Johnson, Antonio Brown. When you have those 2 guys on your team, you want to win this year. And why would Michael try to rebuild or rebuild on the fly when he has that type of talent on his team? And he is a legitimate Pac Bowl contender for sure, and one of the top 2 or 3 teams out there. So absolutely the right trade for Michael. But certainly on the other end of it, not the wrong trade for the Mongols. And I think everyone said it correctly. It was a win-win. And to me, it was the quintessential win-win. And I look for Brees to have another 30-plus TDs this year.
So real quick on the Mongols, this was a team that I think I was projecting to keep 2 running backs Freeman and Eddie Lacy, and 5 receivers. Now I think we're looking at Winston as the quarterback. They add Bilal Powell, so they now have 3 running backs, 3 receivers, a much different keeper list right now. Quick thoughts on their outlook. How much better does this team look with that new lineup?
I mean, Bilal Powell, the Jets are really going to be bad. I mean,
yeah.
It could be epically bad, right? So, the over-under and TDs for him has to be 5, 4, 5, around there. Okay. So that, I don't know about that part of it, but, getting Winston, solidifying that, I think is a good move. On the other hand, you could say that the Mongols had could cherry pick who they would want to pick in the draft in terms of a QB, with the exception of the aliens picking a QB at some point early. But we saw that go down last year, and it certainly worked for you, Stick, and so that wouldn't have been a bad strategy either. But again, it's only a 2nd round pick, so it's not it's not the end of the world. So I think, does their keeper list look dramatically better? No, but they have a foundational, hopefully, right, quarterback that they can work on, and they improve that position. So that's a step in the right direction for a minimal investment.
See, I would argue keeper list is much better. According to my keepers, and Stick, your receivers might be different, but on my calculations, they've traded Corey Coleman and Bashard Perryman for Bilal Powell and Winston. I think that's a clear upgrade. Bilal Powell's sneaky good. He's always been an excellent receiving back. And so even when the Jets are playing catch-up and scoring those meaningless touchdowns late in games and late in halves, he's on the field. Last year, he kind of added to a more 1st and 2nd down to his skill set, to his bag of tricks. And given the way the NFL's treating running backs, I think he's really a good guy to have. So, yeah, I think this is a clear upgrade. Now, can we say, did Terry get the right quarterback of all ones that are available? You can argue that point. Maybe there was better ones out there available. But I assume Michael was aggressive in pitching the offer. And it's a good one. I think he'll be just fine with it. I think he'll be very happy with Winston. I'll tell you this. I'm sure it's much easier to trade for Winston from the Hams than it would be to get Brady from the Senators. I mean, he'd probably save 5 hours of his life not reading emails right there.
5. I'll take the over on that.
Yeah, I got the over, way over.
Hey, here's a whisper. I hear Brady is available for the right offer.
I think that you can whisper anybody on Kramer's team is available if you want to talk to him about it.
I don't think that's a whisper. I think that's a shout from the mountaintops.
Yeah, that's posted.
Jordan Reed might be available.
That sounds billboards.
What other whispers are you guys hearing out there? I've got a couple of them, but I know there's a lot of trade activity out there. Without divulging anything too much, give us some trends, some things you think might happen soon.
I think the Sens are. Speaking of the Sens, are have an RFP out for the number 2 overall. So.
Yeah,
they're looking to get that. They're looking to trade that to the highest bidder. So that is again a shout.
Sources close to the Senators organization have told me that 5 teams have made offers.
Yes,
for the number 2 pick.
Mm-hmm.
I got a question.
I know of one,
including several. Yeah.
I definitely question the wisdom then of dangling Brady and Reed in talks if you're at the same time trying to trade a number 2 pick for, assets, unless maybe you get a good quarterback coming in as part of the package. I guess they benefit either way.
He's just trying to make some kind of trade.
What are the odds that Kramer makes the 2 pick?
I would say less.
What you think his strategy is? Should he be going and getting?
Well, maybe Kramer has flashbacks of Daniel Thomas and Mark Ingram and
Ryan Matthews.
Ryan Matthews. I mean, there's been a bevy of misses for the Sens high in the first round, and it's.
But at the same time, there's not a whole lot of, and it's early. There'll be some moves making.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't want to go through that torture again.
Yeah, there's not a lot of veteran RBs available in trade. You know, maybe you can get a guy like West or Gillisley. You know, maybe a guy like Matt Jones gets traded, or Rashard Jennings gets signed, or all of a sudden we have a potential keeper pop out of nowhere. I think Matt Jones makes perfect sense for Baltimore right now. But I think it's less than 50-50 he keeps the pick. I think if he wants to move it, he will.
You look at his roster, he's just got a lot of young chips already that we'll see how they pan out. Not a lot of things you can bank on. Yeldon, Abdullah, Giovanni Bernard, and then Brady's hopefully your rock. But then did he trade for Jordan Matthews? Jordan Reed, Benjamin. I mean, he's got a lot of chips and not many that are ripe.
That's exact. I told him this last night. He needs 2 studs in that lineup with Brady. And he has 0 right now. And that's an argument I think probably for keeping that number 2 pick and hopefully hitting on it.
Yeah, Brady's got to go. But we talked about it on the last webcast. Where does he go? And the answer really is maybe the Aliens.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the.
What do you think, Aliens?
Trust me, he has been offered or discussed. Let's say, how big of an upgrade is it from Roethlisberger to Brady, and how much would a team be willing to pay for that? Especially for a team that at the moment isn't that interested in keeping a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, you got other talent. You want to keep those other guys. So, adding Brady, takes somebody off your keeper list. So you're throwing that into the equation too. But so I get that part of the equation. But the first part is Brady over Roethlisberger to me is a substantial upgrade because I think he's going to throw for a lot of touchdowns this year.
So I didn't realize we had switched topics that quickly. To stick, but I agree that Brady's an upgrade over Roethlisberger, but I think you're looking at what, and I don't want to offend either Steelers or Patriots fans in the audience here. 2 years, I mean, they can't play forever.
Yeah.
I mean,
no offense.
Of the 2, Roethlisberger is the one making retirement noises too.
Yeah, that's true.
He's probably one. This is probably it for Ben, and Brady, I keep thinking if he keeps winning, at what point does he say, I'm going to the beach and going to hang out with my wife and be done?
Yeah, I don't know. You don't get that sense from him yet, though, right?
Not at all. That's the thing that's shocking. If I'm him, I would have retired years ago.
Yeah, the Aliens will be thinking a bit more about Tom Brady for sure. I know he's available. But I think you can make an argument that Roethlisberger is going to have a big season this year. If I want to keep a quarterback, Martavis Bryant coming back, drafting Juju Smith-Schuster. They've got a lot of weapons at receiver. He's going to have a big year. And right now, like I said, I'm not that interested in keeping a quarterback. Speaking of quarterbacks, one of the other whispers I'm hearing is the Devils, and I'm forecasting this, but I can confirm it. Devils are very much interested in keeping 2 quarterbacks, Cousins and Mariota. At the moment, I think it's easy to argue that's their 7 best guys, and that they could make a trade perhaps to get a running back, a receiver, and let one of those quarterbacks go. But that presumes Nick actually makes a trade, which I don't think is going to happen. All right, let's talk about some keeper conundrums. Unless anybody's got a comment on Nick's 2 quarterbacks.
I was just going to quickly say, does anybody markedly like Cousins or Mariota over the other? Do you have a problem with those guys both being kept?
I do.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, I think it makes more sense to let him go back in the draft. And, if you want 2 similar upside guys, or I would argue Cousins probably more upside, they'll be there at a reasonable cost. They'll be there for a 2nd or 3rd rounder easily. So, why not, make a trade or, keep, I don't know who they keep, Rashard Matthews or someone who's not sexy but productive.
I hate it, right? So I hate the 2 quarterback strategy. I love, and this is probably impossible to dig out of the archives or any other TFFL material, but has there ever been a team that kept 2 quarterbacks that won a Pac Bowl? And how many teams that kept 2 quarterbacks, even made the playoffs? And you got to think, teams that keep 2 quarterbacks are bad teams right from the get-go. You're down 1, key position. You can't make a decision on your starting. I like the 0 quarterback strategy versus the 2 quarterback strategy far more, especially when you can get a guy like Kirk Cousins in a 2nd round or 3rd round, even maybe, probably 2nd round. But so why in the hell would you keep 2 of them? To me, it's just lazy. If you keep 2 quarterbacks, you're not actually trying to go out and prove your team and make a trade.
Well, it's also very, I don't know if spiteful is the right word, but I remember Ralph actually might be the answer to the trivia question. He felt strongly that Chad Pennington was worth something in trade, so he kept him as a backup. I forget if he was in the Culpepper years or Romo years or who his starter was at the time. They actually kept Pennington as a backup quarterback because he thought he was too talented to be in the draft. Well, that may or may not be true, but he's not helping you.
Right, exactly.
I raised it. I'm looking at Nick's roster more closely now, and you guys made a couple of points. One is, why don't you try and make a trade? I'm not sure either Cousins or Mariota is going to bring back anything of that significant in trade value. Then you look at his roster in terms of who he could keep instead and who he has as real tradable assets. And Frank Gore, sure. I think there'd probably be a market maybe for him. Stephon Diggs, you sure? Sean Jackson. I challenge you guys to show me where there's 7 guys that are going to be markedly better.
No. But my point was, there may not be somebody who's currently on his team, but you have to then go out and trade for somebody, and you could certainly find somebody.
I agree with you, but the challenge there, I think, is I'm not sure he's got the assets to go make a further trade.
Well, there's always draft picks.
Yeah, it's always a buyer's market heading to the draft.
Yeah.
Some go the 4th or 5th round draft pick to keep it where they.
Yeah.
Speaking of 2 quarterback and 0 quarterback strategies, it occurred to me recently that the Boba Fats might be a candidate suddenly to be a 0 quarterback team. They have Carson Wentz. They have Matt Stafford. They could, in theory, keep either one of those guys. But why not let those quarterbacks go and keep Travis Kelce instead? Keep Jeremy Mack. They don't have Macklin. Keep Theo Riddick.
Yeah, they have Macklin too, but
okay, keep 4 receivers with Edelman and Crabtree.
Right. Yeah, they've got some useful guys. The guys that Nick should be looking at. I have him throwing back Emmanuel Sanders and Michael Crabtree, but whatever mileage you get out of it, they have 2, I guess, protection-worthy starters. So I see it, but yeah, I mean, it's one of these gambles, right? Your gamble is not going to be too many teams looking for a quarterback in the draft, and this year it's probably a safe bet. This year it might very well just be the aliens, excuse me. So they're probably assured of getting one of those guys back. It depends on if they want to risk losing Wentz.
Yeah. So I'm on the same page, I think, as Chief. It's about peace of mind, I think, in this particular situation. So you have Carson Wentz and you have Travis Kelce. either of those guys you could probably get in the second round, right? Either one, or equivalent guy. But if you keep Kelsey, then you don't have that quarterback, and you're forced to take a quarterback in the second round. Versus if you keep Wentz, then the second round is open to you to do other things, whether that's running back, tight end, receiver, and you're not locked in.
Well, keep in mind they're only probably keeping 2 running backs. So I think I know you can exchange Kelsey with whoever. I think Kelsey's on the team regardless. But yeah, your point holds.
It's an owner philosophy thing. Is whether you're comfortable going in without a quarterback, and if you don't have one guy you love, or if there's 5 guys that you're happy with at the same time, and you feel like you can get one of those guys, then you got somebody else you want to keep. I guess all those things have to come together. I personally like the idea of having a quarterback going into the draft, but
I think it depends who that quarterback is.
Yeah, it does.
The years where if you're the guy who has the 11th to 12th best quarterback, so the guy who had Eli Manning all those years, you probably don't care if you don't get him back again.
True.
Whereas if you have Drew Brees, or if you have Peyton Manning, why risk throwing him back in, even if it's costing you somebody else? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of factors in the equation.
All right, 2 more keeper conundrums, and we're going to try to go through them real quick. A speed round question. First off, for the Amsterdam Packers, they actually have a decent amount of young talent there, and I think they have one keeper conundrum. Tight end Tyler Eifert or wide receiver Martavis Bryant? Who do you keep?
I wouldn't even consider keeping Bryant. I've got him keeping Eifert.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't have him keeping John Brown or somebody. I have him. I don't have him keeping Allen from the Chargers either, but maybe you do.
Oh, they've got to keep Keenan Allen.
He hasn't done anything in 2 years, and how long you got to carry him? How much do you trust he's got to come back from successive knee injuries? But anyway, regardless, out of that pick you just gave me, I think I'm keeping Eifert.
Eifert.
Yeah, I'm keeping Eifert too, and I think Ralph wants to get that foundational tight end back in his lineup, and he made Eifert was part of a package of some players. I can't remember exactly what it was, but assuming Eifert stays healthy, he's a red zone beast, and I think Ralph sees that and wants that foundational tight end back in his lineup that he had with Gates for so many years, and Jimmy Graham on top of that. So it's got to be Eifert.
Has Bryant even been reinstated yet? I don't think he has. I think everybody's assuming he's going to be.
No, I think he's been with the team. I think he has. All right, the last keeper conundrum. Really, one person on the panel can answer this. Berto, I think you just got yourself a bonus keeper-worthy player all of a sudden. Terrence West was always kind of a question mark, but with Kenneth Dixon going down for the year, West is really the only early down guy there in the Baltimore backfield. He's going to get some goal line touches. He actually looked okay last year.
Yeah.
Baltimore could bring in somebody else, a Matt Jones, for instance. But for the moment, West looks like a keeper, a guy is at least going to have a chance to get 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. How does he fit? How does he fit into your keeper plans?
He does. I haven't I haven't exactly sorted out who he's replacing, but he's a guy I want to keep for sure.
How do you not keep him? He looks like your number 1 running back where the season to start today. Everybody else is in a timeshare.
Yeah.
Rawls and Gillisley.
Ugly one with Jeremy Hill and Thomas Rawls.
Yeah. So no, West is definitely a keeper, and somebody's got to go, and trades will happen, and think people will be moved, and hopefully, So yeah, I mean, last year I was a buyer, and this year I got guys to sell. I feel like some talented guys. So, but yes, to answer your question, we will make room for West. How that's going to shake out, that's to be determined.
As of today, who comes off the keeper list?
As of today, maybe Marshall.
It's either Marshall or Decker.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Here's the big question I wanted to get to, and I'll frame it the way I set it up for you guys on email. But let's say your wife, any of our wives, none of whom may be big football fans, but they're on social media. They're up on their news. They hear about this rookie football player who had this incident in college where he punched a young woman in the jaw, broke 4 bones or something. It's on video. She can see the clip on social media, and she asks you, "Oh, what TFFL owner drafted that loser?" Can you own up to that? How far is Mixon going to drop in the first round because of character concerns in fantasy of all things?
Yeah, I have no problem owning up to that. I'm not, taking out for beers after the game. I'm not actually paying him. However, that being said, it would be much easier to say, Nick. or pick the owner who she doesn't know. Thornburg, Terry.
That was funny. Well, it's kind of funny, but Deb will occasionally pick up on something, or I'll be cheering for something will come up, and like Michael Vick. I mean, it's on and on and on about Michael Vick and Ray Rice. So yeah, I would own up to it for sure. I'd say, yeah, of course I drafted that guy. He's gonna be awesome on my team. But yeah, I would get shit for it, but I would deal with that shit to add that talented player to my team. And hopefully the Killers can help rehabilitate him. Whoever that is, Mixon.
Hank?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of the question dealing with a child yelling. But if I'm hearing that Mixon's going to drop to 10 overall, I think I can confidently tell you he'll go there. But
Okay.
I have character issues are something that we have to be okay with in the NFL overall. I mean, these guys they're not our buddies. These guys are getting paid lots of money to kill each other, and that they're not nice guys for the most part. So I'm not having them over for dinner, and I have no problem with them scoring touchdowns or for me or winning Pac Bowls. And I would welcome these guys with open arms and then cut them after Lawrence Phillips, kills somebody.
So really, then the question, wow, I'm surprised. The question then becomes Dalvin Cook or Joe Mixon at number 2, or Christian McCaffrey if you want to put him in the mix. I had kind of assumed Mixon was going to be a little bit off limit, given the equal talent levels perhaps of Cook and Mixon. I just kind of assumed people would put Cook ahead, and that he might drop at least to number 4 and maybe much farther. But now I think the question can be asked: Does he go as high as number 2?
I think the answer to the question is there's probably one TFL owner who would give it a thought, would give pause to drafting Mixon. And I think it's on this podcast.
That's the guy with the hairiest chest in the league. He would have pause perhaps, but I don't even think he would. I think he'd draft him and not think twice about it.
All right. Another big question, and we'll start to wrap up here. You guys have been studying keeper lists now. We know who's got some extra draft picks, who's waiting around or 2 rounds in some cases. We talked about the Hormel Hams and probably the Lizards being favorites for the Pac Bowl. Which TFFL franchise's keeper list and their draft capital makes it most likely to be sucking for Saquon next year. Saquon Barkley of Penn State being the current favorite to be the number 1 overall pick. So sucking for Saquon. Which TFFL team?
Well, listen, I've taken a hit in the last week, but I think teams have a long way to go to catch the Senators.
Yeah.
Number 2 pick be damned. And I think then we'd probably get the Boba Fetts. And after that, it can probably be anybody.
I would go Senators as well, but I think, and I say this every year, God damn it, and Nick somehow manages to do something, but I'm going to go Devils right after Senators.
This year, we mean it.
This year, God damn it will happen.
I'm with Berto. I want to jump on that bandwagon. I think this is the year that I think Nick's team finally truly sucks, and we'll see. Looking at his keepers, the Senators are not good. Maybe figuring he takes Fournette number 1 overall, and he has some kind of LaDainian Tomlinson-like year. Maybe he gets somewhere, but who knows? Who knows? I'd say the Senators and the Devils look not playoff ready.
I was telling Kramer last night, I think the Senators do have a better team than the Devils. And yet I'm with Berto. I think I've been guilty of saying that for several years. And then once the season starts, I turn right around and you see Nick making draft picks that suddenly look brilliant. I mean, and he figures it out every year, and he's in the playoffs. But the Devils concern me very much. I don't have it in front of me. Berto, I apologize. I have not updated the archives. I really need to. But we have not talked, in answer to this question, I don't think we have talked enough about the Amsterdam Packers. What is their combined record over the last 2 seasons? 2-24?
Yeah. Is that right? Or 3?
3-23?
Yeah. I think 3-23, I want to say.
I know they've got this running back core that we all suddenly envy a great deal, but I think a team that is 3-23 probably needs to be a big part of this discussion.
And they got, if Elliott gets suspended and the AmPac get off to a tough start, and they play, I'm guessing me and Berto in the first couple of weeks.
Yep.
Let's say they're sitting there at 0-3. That's again, it's tough to get out of those holes.
And then they got another top pick next year.
Right.
Eventually, they ought to be there.
Man, I mean, yeah, if the whole Elliott thing, if that happens, and there's a longer suspension or so, I mean, it doesn't look like there will be, but that's a big issue. Keenan Allen's health, that's a concern for sure. Tyler Eifert's health, Tyreek Hill looked like the next coming of whomever. I don't even know who to call him at the end of the last season, but he's not going to do that again. So they still have question marks, but yeah, I mean, I would trade running back cores with the pack right now for sure, and with Fournette. So yeah, I mean, they could falter. Anyone could.
Well, they start off playing me week 1, Killers week 2, Lizards week 3. I'm gonna give them an 0-3. I am. I'm confident.
Who's week 4?
Week 4 is the Fats, then the Aliens, then the Senators, Hams, Sponge.
All right.
No,
you're right. The Elliott suspension is at least 1 game from everything we're hearing, but who knows? That could be 4 games.
And I also think you might be giving Fournette a little bit too much credit on a pretty terrible NFL team.
And then this is the other thing we always talk about too. Russell Wilson, a good NFL quarterback. I'd love to have him on the Eagles on my NFL team.
Yep.
Do I want him leading my fantasy team? I don't know. So you're still in that space, maybe a little bit with Russell Wilson too.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. All right, so I want to turn to Chief for a little bit here. We are. My wife is walking into the room.
Hello, wife.
And,
And so, Chief, tell us about some new rules, please.
Right.
We were reminded that we passed lots of new rules this year. I can't remember many of them. I know we don't like a lot of them, but they have some big implications on the season. So,
Yeah. Do me a favor and mute your microphone, or handle this a different way, I guess. Okay, so by my count, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 new rules here. 8 new rules here. 7 which, only about 6 which talk to the on-field performance. I'm just gonna read them in the order they were on the ballot. Okay, lower the stakes of the party boat to $25 per team. Big deal. Combine rushing and receiving yards together. This change has been made to the website. The upside is you might get 2 more points out of a running back, and this is only good for running backs. Allow conditional trades based on performance of an individual or team. We just saw this with the Jordan Matthews trade between the Senators and the Beavers. FAIR picks can only be used by playoff teams during the playoffs, but they don't have the option to keep them. Any player picked up after the regular season goes back into the draft pool. I like that rule. It's actually pretty well thought out. I think that was something Bill Thornburg's had for a couple of years now. Next one moves the trade deadline to the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, which is 1 week later than the deadline from previous years. Number 20. Well, sorry. Next one is number 20 on the ballot. It gets around the issue of not fielding a defense and not fielding a kicker. This was one of the far-ranging ramifications of the Aliens Impact game from last year, where applying the penalty of 25 points, taking away from the Impact and changing the winner of that game was adversely affecting people in playoff contention. So that's been replaced from a point penalty to a draft pick penalty. You'll lose 6 spots in the draft, or your first pick will be six picks later. Everybody else moving up 1 spot. FAIR goes back to doubtful or worse. Questionable players are not eligible to be IR'd. The other thing is just know how the actual rules process. We have a 3-man rules committee. Thornburg will be one, and he'll nominate the other 2 when the time comes to give sort of like a gatekeeping function to the rules process. The rules process this year, and let me tell you, I was the league rules chairman for about 5 or 6 years, and then commissioner for 3 now. This is my 4th rules process. It hasn't been good, but this year was the absolute nadir of rules processes. There was just everything flung on the wall. There was things that were so similar to other ones, and we just don't have the engagement of the league, especially in the off season, that we used to really make this a smooth process. So the 3-man rules committee will vet the rules proposals and work with the sponsors of the rules, try to harmonize where they can, and we'll have to approve the proposal before it actually makes it onto the ballot. So again, it doesn't affect the game on the field, but it's a new wrinkle in the league business. There you have it. They're all effective as of now. C6 give me a little quizzical look here, like he thought something was a year delayed.
Yeah, the combined rushing receiving yards rule affecting scoring.
There's a rule affecting the lineup of the ones that are year delayed. Scoring rules take effect immediately.
Okay.
I will look at that right now. While we're talking about
That's just good to clarify in case anybody else is
Yeah.
memory challenged as I am.
Why did you-
Does that rule? Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's going to generate a ton more points for anybody. But do you think you change your rankings at all based on that rule?
No.
Anybody giving that rule some thought?
Not really.
No.
All right.
I mean, it's one more, possibly two more points a game max a couple times a year for the Theo Riddicks and James Whites of the league. It's hard to move them significantly, move them at all really through your rankings based on let's say 10 extra points a year.
Agreed.
I don't know if you, speaking of Theo Riddick, I don't know if you guys have got him as a projected keeper for the Fats. I don't at the moment.
I don't, but he's in the also category.
Yeah. But he's starting to look really, once you get beyond the rookies this year, there's not a lot of great veterans out there. But, Detroit doesn't, we'll see what happens with Abdullah. But Abdullah is not going to get 300 carries. Is not going to catch a ton of passes. Riddick's going to get a ton of touches there. He's going to rack up yards, rushing and receiving. He'll be a decent pickup. And then maybe the Fat should be again thinking about keeping him or keeping some guys instead of a quarterback. All right, let me give you the TFFL trivia answer for the evening. Then we can wrap up here. We got 2 points on the line. I'm looking for, out of the last 7 drafts that we have conducted, the team that has made the most and the 2 teams that have tied to make the fewest first-round draft picks in that time. All right. The team with the most, with 10 first-round picks in 7 drafts, the Senators.
Oh,
Really?
I went with the Beavers because they had 3 one year.
That's a great way to go about it. They had 9. They were tied for second.
Yeah.
With surprisingly, the K-Wheels had 9.
Really?
Yeah. The 2 teams tied for the fewest draft picks in that 7-year span, fewest first-round draft picks, with 5 picks in that span, Jack's Giant Killers and the Aliens.
Wow.
I got one of those.
Yeah. I got a half point.
You got a half point. You got one
Hey,
half
Brooke.
point. All right. What other? Give me the other points here. So I got a half.
Well, it's 1 point because it was 2 points.
Oh,
So you
okay,
got
1 point. All right.
No
and
half.
then, Chief, how many did you get?
I got 1.
I got 1 half.
You got 1.
1.
Okay. All right. So we all got 1.
Yeah. So you're still winning.
Still.
Undefeated.
All right. Nice. I love it. I love it.
No way, Luca.
All right. Sounds like the missus is home.
The missus is not home yet, but she has texted and she is on the way. I'm in the lead after 2 weeks. 2 correct answers to 1 for the other boys.
You should be so proud, Brooke.
Something should be all yours.
Had in about 5 or 6 weeks now.
Yay, sportsy stuff. That's what she says. Yay, sportsy stuff.
All right. So
basketball.
we got lots of trade talk. I'm kind of counting on something happening soon. I know, as I said, lots of teams going after that number 2 pick. I suspect to some extent that's because Ralph is not being very responsive to any moves for the number 1 pick. But I think we're gonna. What's that, Chief?
So I'm sure it would take a lot. Probably it's not worth the repeated pings on him.
That too.
We didn't talk about the Cooks Crowell trade, which I kind of want to talk about at one point. I think that moment's passed, which was since the last webcast. We can visit that at some point.
We can give that a quick minute.
Oh, no. We can save it for wrapping up.
Next webcast.
Next webcast. I'll put that on the agenda for next webcast.
I mean, of course, now it's looking better than it did, given the Dixon news. But I have a feeling there was some some question about why would, trade Cooks at this point, having going to a, good offense in order to pick up another running back. But we can shelve that perhaps permanently.
What I can say real quick, because I will forget this perhaps down the line, is that within 2 days, I think, of you making that trade, Crowell was suddenly trending way upward. You were seeing lots of positive reports.
No. Because I made that trade, Crowell's arrow was pointing way.
That's what I'm talking about. You were ahead of the curve on that, so I was a little higher on Cooks at that time, but especially with the Dixon news, I think that's a very intriguing trade. We'll talk more about it.
I think we have to give that its due time. I want to talk about that one too.
That's a good trade to two starters going back and forth. All right, so we're again, training camps are starting to move here. I hate to say it, but there will be an injury at some point. We'll have some TFFL trades coming up. Something crazy like Carlos Hyde is going to get released or traded or something in the NFL. We'll have lots of shakeups to the keeper lists. Maybe some shakeups to the first round draft order in the TFFL. So lots to talk about. I don't know if we'll necessarily get together next week. I think Chief is out for the next couple of weeks.
I'm up the next 2, yes.
But let's get back in a couple of weeks when Chief is back. We'll have maybe an exhibition game under our belt at that point.
Isn't the Hall of Fame game tomorrow?
Really?
Yeah, we do have football this week.
Wow.
All right.
But the first full weekend of games is probably
next weekend, man.
Yeah.
So are we going to target August 16th? Is that the
That sounds good.
Okay.
August 16th for our next webcast, and perhaps every Wednesday thereafter until we get to the draft. We can start doing some mock drafts. Let me just encourage all owners. Let's go make some trades. Let's give us something to talk about. But it's that time of year. I think lots of us be ready to go down to Myrtle Beach right now and get this started.
Yes.
Berto, real quick, has everybody? Do we owe you any more for the house? Is anybody delinquent? And is there another payment that's going to be coming, or are we all done?
So there will be. So everyone is paid for the base of the house. So the Friday through Monday. Those staying Thursday, we will figure who that is, and then we'll get money from whoever is coming for Thursday night. Okay, good.
But
other than that, everyone is paid.
All right, good. Well, everybody enjoy the rest of your summer. We'll be seeing football very soon, and I guess we'll be back on August 16th to talk more about it all. In the meantime, take care. See you guys soon.
Cheers, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.